The battlefield lay silent. The swords had stopped clashing, and news of death travelled faster than the wind. A messenger rode through the wilderness, his garments torn, his face pale with dread. In his hands he carried the crown of a fallen king. David looked up, his heart already heavy with sorrow. "How do you know Saul and Jonathan are dead?" he asked, voice trembling. The man told his story, and as the words fell, so did David's tears. He tore his clothes and fell to the ground. The man who had once hunted him, dead. The friend who loved him like a brother, gone. David wept till the night turned to dawn, not with joy that his enemy was gone, but with grief for a nation and a family once united. The dust of mourning still clung to him, but David did not rush into power. He knelt, lifted his eyes, and whispered, "Lord, shall I go up to any of the cities of Judah?" And God answered, "Go up."
"Where, Lord?" "To Hebron." So David obeyed. With his wives Ahinoam and Abigail, his men and their families, they journeyed to Hebron. Not with chariots of gold, but with hearts of faith. And there, under the open sky, the elders of Judah came forth. They brought oil, the same sacred symbol once poured upon his head by Samuel. They anointed him King of Judah. But little did David know. In the north, Saul's commander, Abner, was not ready to let go of power. He crowned Saul's son, Ishbosheth, king over Israel. Ishbosheth was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel. David was king of Judah, which is only one tribe out of 12 tribes of Israel. And so, 2 kings rose over one nation, one chosen by men, the other chosen by God. The kingdom was divided, and the whispers of war began to stir once more. Tension grew between the houses of David and Saul, as David's house grew, but Saul's house did not. David welcomed sons with his 6 wives, and the children were Amnon, Chileab, Absalom, Adonijah, Shephatiah, and Ithream. They were all born in Hebron. Now Saul had a concubine, and Ishbosheth, the king of Israel and son of Saul, provoked Abner, his father's army commander, by accusing him of lying with her. This caused a rift between them. Abner, the strongest ally to the house of Saul, sent messengers to David, offering his allegiance. He offered to hand over Israel to David, and David said, "I will align with you, but you shall not see my face until you bring my wife Michal to me." Michal was David's first wife. Saul found out she loved David, and was all too happy to betroth her to him for a price. Not the regular dowry you'd imagine, because David was a lowly shepherd compared to a princess. Saul had said to him, "I don't want your money. I would prefer you fight and win all my battles with the Philistines in exchange for my daughter's hand." And David delivered 100 foreskins of Philistines and took his wife. But when Saul started hunting David to kill him, his wife, Michal, helped him escape through the window, and they never saw each other since. Saul later gave his daughter Michal to a man named Phaltiel to wife after David ran away. But now David was free of Saul and wanted his wife back, so Ishbosheth took her from Phaltiel to give back to David. Phaltiel followed Ishbosheth, crying because they took his wife, but was asked to go back, and he eventually did. When and his 20-man escort came to Hebron, David threw them a feast. Then Abner sought to travel in a bid to convince all of Israel to be on David's side as king, and David sent him away, and he went in peace. But Joab, one of David's servants, returned from pursuing a troop, and he was angry. He said to David, "Don't you know that Abner came to deceive you? He wants to know your going out, your coming in, and all your doings." Joab then proceeded to send messengers after Abner, and they brought him back to Hebron without David's knowledge. When Abner returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside to talk to him privately, but had other motives. Joab killed Abner to avenge his brother Asahel, whom Abner killed in battle. When David learned of this gruesome incident, he said, "The blood of Abner is on the house of Joab and his father's house, not on mine." And he mourned for Abner. Now when Saul's son, Ishbosheth, heard of Abner's death, he was shaken. When he slumbered at noon, 2 of his army commanders, Rechab and Baanah, went into his house, pretending to take wheat. They found Ishbosheth and struck him where he laid. They beheaded him and took his head to David, believing they had done him a favour, since he was the son of David's tormentor, Saul. But David reminded them that he slayed the person who claimed to have killed Saul, and would not spare anyone who killed his son either. So David cut their legs, hands, and hung them. Even though Saul hunted him, David still kept faith with the house of Saul forever, especially since he and Jonathan had such a special bond. David could have seized the whole throne by force. He had the strength, the soldiers, the reason, but instead he waited. He chose the path of peace and patience, trusting God to fulfill what he had promised. Join us next time as we study the Bible together. Thank you for watching.